My name is Joshua, and I am the Tribune. I've been talking so much about how to enter in a relationship with Jesus Christ, which eventually brings you to be his friend through obedience. And then he will give you commissions and blueprints and strategies and so much power in the earth. Now, but before we move on with that, it's important that we talk about how God is your parent. Now, this has become a giant cliche. Everybody says God's their father, God's this, and he's like a mom to me, he's like this, he's my dad. There's so many things that people say about God as a parent that they don't really believe. And on top of that, even if they do believe it, they don't know the difference between their natural parents and God. This is a huge, huge, huge thing. Because if we don't know the difference between God and our natural parents, we're going to treat God exactly like our parents. But it's important to understand that the best parent on earth is evil compared to God. If you have a wonderful dad or a wonderful mom, and you cherish that, it's very important to understand that if you compare that to God, you will be very, very mistaken. Because he's way better. He is the perfect parent. He's absolutely perfect. So your parents, your natural parents, are human. That means they're flawed. This means that if you take this flawed relationship, though it could be good for a human relationship, and you start applying those things to God, you will actually not be able to tap into his power. And you won't be able to really get to know him because he's way up here. Now, this message is not just for children. Children are included, but it's for all ages, all adults. Even adults who are elderly. Because even elderly people have a memory of their parents. So this could be the reason why a lot of people cannot hear from God. And they're struggling with their relationship, with their growth with the Father. Because they are actually treating God like their mom. Now, this can go both ways. I'm going to talk about two different ways. The first way is if you have a great parent. If you have a great parent, this is very scary dealing with God because it will be very difficult for you to realize that God is way above a great parent. Way above. Way above. The reason why is your parent doesn't have all knowledge. Your parent doesn't even love you as much as he does. A good parent. So if you go to God, for example, thinking of your wonderful mother, then you are actually forgetting that your mother doesn't know all things. She's not omniscient. She doesn't even know what you should be doing in 10 years or tomorrow. She doesn't even know. So she's going to be making decisions based on her human love, and that's it, and what she thinks is wise. But her wisdom is foolishness compared to God's wisdom. This is something you really have to understand. So your parent that is very, very respected has made big mistakes too. But God doesn't make mistakes. Now, the other side is a parent who is not a desirable parent. A parent who has a lot of problems, might have abused you, might have done things that you don't agree with. Maybe they're evil. Maybe they don't even know God. Now, those characters that you dealt with, that's your perspective of what a father or a mother should be. Now, if it's not good, you will carry that stuff over to your relationship with God. For example, if you've dealt with a parent who doesn't keep promises and just absolutely promises you everything and doesn't do it, and you think, oh, I've got this figured out. He's promised me this and he's not going to do it. And you're right about that. you'll take that to God, not knowing that He has full intention to get things done and to keep His promises to you. It's impossible for Him not to keep His promises to you. So what happens is, if He's trying to talk to you and become your friend, you will deal with Him in fear. You'll deal with Him thinking He's not going to come through for you. This comes in many forms. Maybe your dad didn't speak to you too much. Maybe your dad is so quiet and barely says anything. You will take that and think that God doesn't say too much and that He's not interested. And if you come to the table with God with this perspective, then you cannot hear God because you're not even listening to Him. You're not listening for Him. You're not looking for Him because your natural parent didn't talk too much. Here's another one. You could have a great parent who just loves to do anything they can for you, and whatever you need, they're right there on time. When you think they should come, they're there before that. They're just there because you want them to be there and they love you. No. This good quality with a human relationship that shows love, I'm there on time, is not good to take to God because His time is different than our time. So if I have some kind of situation and I need my parent to come as soon as possible, I'm actually looking at the clock and they're looking at the clock. And 10 minutes, depending on the situation, is a very short amount of time. So we both agree on that, and she's there in 7 minutes. And we get it done. No. But now you take that to God. And you're looking at the clock. Lord, you need to be here in 10 minutes. Or you don't love me. No. And God's like, no, I come when I need to come, when I know is the right time to come. And you don't know that. You don't know when the right time to come is. You know why you don't know? Because you're not omniscient. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's supposed to happen in your life. You don't even know what my strategy is completely. So this is so important to understand because you should look at your relationships with your parents and assess the good and the bad and say, what kind of things did I carry over to my relationship with God? It will free you very, very fast because the enemy has taken this cliche that the church is just talking about, just God's our Father, and everybody's saying this. He's taken this cliche and reduced it down to our idea of parenthood. Whatever our experience was about with parents, that's what he takes and tells us, okay, God's just like that. Even good things. Even good things. But we have to think God is way better in all ways. He's more wise. A parent will actually give you something that is maybe not good for you in the long run. He's not. He doesn't do that. He's not going to do that. So if we assess our relationships with our parents, even from the past, currently, it's almost guaranteed you will be able to find something that you've transferred over in relationship with God that's hindering your relationship. So if I were you, I would actually start assessing these things. I would start actually looking at my life meticulously, looking at the strongest qualities that I have witnessed, been a recipient to. I need to look at all these things and assess which things I actually took and kept in my heart. Now, if someone doesn't have a parent, and you're thinking, oh, I don't have a parent, so this doesn't apply to me, and absolutely not true. It definitely applies to you. There is somebody in your life who had a massive influence in your life. It could be an aunt, could be an uncle, could be a friend, could be the person who first introduced you to Christ. It could be so many different people. You just have to assess the relationships that are most prominent and were most prominent in your life and see what facets of those relationships are you applying to God's relationships. Now, This is really important because in order to be his friend, you have to understand that he first wants to be a good parent to you. He doesn't jump from you get saved, you become a Christian, you're obedient, and you become his friend. No, that's not how it goes. It starts with you becoming acquainted with him as a father first. Then from there, he teaches you how much he loves you, how much he wants to keep you safe, how much he wants to cleanse you. All these things, and many more things. But all these things he teaches you first because you need to have a certain level of trust and intimacy with him as a father before you become his friend. All parents who just become friends with their children and before their parents are foolish. That is the worst thing to do because there's no foundation, there's no base. So we have to be wise and first get to know him like this. So after we get to know God first as a parent, then he'll start talking to us like friends because we've went through the process. So the blueprints come after that. The commissions come after that. God's strategy and purpose, him even speaking or preparing for that, comes after you really get to know him as a parent, as someone who covers you. Because the reason is, if you don't know God as a parent, the best parent that covers you and protects you and loves you, and who died for you, okay, this is the love. This is a huge thing. If you don't know that, then you won't be able to hold his plans in your hand, because that's the foundation of the relationship he's going to establish with you. So anybody out there who's thinking, I'm having a problem hearing God's voice. I'm having a problem breaking through to a certain level of God that I feel like I need to get into. By the way, you already have to become a Christian. You cannot do any of this stuff. You can't even have revelations without first being a Christian. You have to have salvation to do this. You have to get to know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. So make sure you go down the description and say the prayer that we put in there so that you can become a Christian and then operate in this, what I'm talking about, and be freed. So in order to move forward in this way, he is going to put you through tests. He is going to put you in situations that prove to you he is the one who is your best parent. This is why when you're hearing from, if you feel like I can't hear from God, I don't know, I can't really break into this next area with him. It's because there's something in your relationship with him that's blocking it. There's some blockage. And the most invisible blockage is things that you think don't exist. It's things that you don't think, that you don't know to look at. One of the main culprits of this is our relationship with our parents. Now, the negative parts aren't necessarily obvious, but it's obvious enough where you can figure that part out. But the positive sides of your flesh parents, that's the thing you have to really pay attention to, because those are the most invisible. Because we think they're good. So we think that's our tiny level of good in our mind, and we apply that level of good because that's the only thing we know to God. And I think the thing to make sure that we do is remember that God is a lot higher in everything. So if you look at your situation, you think, okay, bad or good with our natural parents, how is God higher in this situation? That's what we need to think about. How is he higher? And he will tell you how he's higher. This is the thing. We're not alone in this process. We don't have to go through this by ourselves and think, oh, I just have to figure all this out. God will not help me. He's just waiting for me. No, he'll actually get into a conversation with you about this. This is part of him being a parent. I argue that even if you had nobody around, if you had nobody, not a parent, no, you were never close to anybody, you just say you were jumping around and had different foster parents, or nobody really took care of you, you're just here. And you feel like just like a fish thrown in the ocean. Even you, pay attention to what that did to you on the inside. Look honestly at yourself and look honestly at what happened to you. What are the things? There might be some good things that you came and brought out of that situation. There's some bad things that came out of it. But you have to actually look at these things, gather them up, and say, how do I change how I treat God? How do I go higher in all these things? Another thing that happens is we will have something with our parents, some sort of argument that is, say, a consistent argument or a consistent disagreement. These things happen over so long that it just becomes ingrained in us. Me and my mom don't agree with this. Me and my dad don't agree with this. And then naturally, we'll take that to our father, our real father, and we will apply those things to him in whatever way. So it's essential to make sure we assess these things, because God wants you to know that he's not only your parent, but he's their parent. He is your parents' parent. He is your great, 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 great grandfather's parent. So the same thing you're going through with God, trying to find him as your ultimate father, is the same thing even your parents might be going through. This is very true. This is very common. It doesn't matter how old they are. This is something that everybody needs to look at themselves and find so that they can become even better people, and that relationship with God being established will actually make you a better parent. It'll make you a better son, a better daughter. It'll make you a better friend, because we start emulating that. Even when you come, the freedom in this topic is so powerful that if you even, let's say that your parents have some difficulties, some problems, and say the relationship isn't that good. Well, if I assess this, take it to God, he teaches me what a real parent, what he is like. I can take that and have not only forgiveness, but understanding of why even the parent that is off track, acts crazy, isn't around, ignores you. You could take that and understand why it's happening. He will give you revelation on that. But first, it comes from understanding how the best father really is. So today, you guys need to take your insides and assess them. Assess all the most powerful relationships that you've had that are human. All the ones that have influenced you the most. The ones that you trust, or even the ones that you don't trust. The ones that have influenced you and impacted you the most. Assess those relationships. Assess the qualities that you have extracted. The patterns that you think they have, or the patterns they actually do have. Assess those patterns that you have stored and make sure you are not applying them to God's relationship with you, because he doesn't have any of those patterns. None of them. He is pure. He has the ultimate love for you. He's omniscient. He's all powerful. He wants you to be completely fulfilled, and he knows how to do it. They don't know how to do that. They can't. They try, but they cannot. But he wants this and knows how to do it. Your relationship with God as a father will bring you to be his friend. And after you're his friend, you will become his general. And his generals carry assignments for him, powerful ones, powerful commissions, beauty. He has treasure out there. He is holding in his hand, looking, who will know me as a real father? Who will know me as a real friend? I am holding these things in my hand. That's what he's saying. Who will go through the process? It's way worth it. Not only do you get treasure, but first you get freed. Not to mention salvation. Not even to mention that. Fantastic. Assess these things. Become God's generals. He is the best father, the best parent. Hail Jehovah.